Hello and welcome to the Days of Yore. Today we're at the Governor's Mansion. We're going to speak a little bit about the O'Brien family and about the history of the building itself and the O'Brien collection. So I'm very grateful to Mike Mersereau, the proprietor here at the mansion, for letting us come on site today and to film this episode. My sources today come largely from Mike himself and the information that he provided, as well as from the files of the Miramichi Historical Society. So let's begin. So for those of you who have been following this series, you know that our first episode was on J. Leonard O'Brien, so I would refer you to that episode for greater detail on his life and his times. Those of you who may remember the Northumberland Deal episode will know a little bit about John O'Brien, his father, who was, of course, the original owner of the mansion. So we have to be filming this right at the time the school get out, and we've got a number of buses here going by. So we appreciate your patience at this time. I think that's the last one, so we're all right. So, as I was saying, the O'Brien family. So again, we've done an episode on Leonard. And again, have spoken a little bit about John in the course of the Northumberland Deal episode as well. I believe the Friends of Beaubears Island YouTube page also has an episode that we did last year on the death of John O'Brien, which took place in 1917. So John and Lavinia came here. The original building dates from about the 1860s. But a major renovation was done in 1880 by the Dolans, which kind of gave it more of the character that we see today. In 1896, a further addition was made to the structure. An L-shaped addition that complemented what was already there. The defining features of the mansion today are indeed its enclosed veranda with the balustrade and the square pillars. And the front portico, which has 2 stories. So again, there are a number of others, but I mean those are some of the ones that are most notable. Architectural history, maybe not my strong point, but again, those are some of the major features. It's also interesting to note that the house was the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor when Leonard O'Brien occupied that vice-regal role from 1958 to 1965. So, of course, at that time, Government House had been decommissioned in Fredericton, and so the official residence was the Lieutenant Governor's residence right here in Nelson. So definitely a great honor to the house. So, of course, as you know, if you've been following this series, Leonard O'Brien passed away in 1973, leaving Beaubears Island to the Crown and this home unoccupied. Unfortunately, his wife Kathleen had died 3 years earlier, and now there was a large collection of materials that passed from Leonard O'Brien's hands. And there was some concern by 1974 about what the future of this large collection of items that had belonged to the O'Brien family and to Leonard O'Brien himself, where were they going to go? At that time, Lauren McGuigan, who was a member of the provincial cabinet, said that Leonard O'Brien had always had a great passion for the history of New Brunswick, and so therefore it was the government's intention that the collection remain here in the province and preferably on the river. The collection was moved to Chatham in April of 1975, and was housed at, I guess, the building that we know today as district office. So, and there was no plans for it to be kind of open for viewing, but the New Brunswick Museum at that time did offer its assistance for the preservation and the maintenance of the O'Brien collection. The Historical Society was also very much involved at that time as well. The furniture, most of the furniture pieces did go to Fredericton at that time, and so was some of the other items that were being held in Chatham. Unfortunately, there were many who felt that the collection should have remained here in Nelson. Unfortunately, the province felt that that since the mansion was not fireproof, that there was a risk to the artifacts. However, many people at that time raised the question about a lot of heritage buildings in the province where artifacts were being stored that were not fireproof, and I guess this debated whether or not that was a reasonable explanation for why the artifacts could not remain here in Nelson. So in 1976, the governor's mansion opened as an inn, and here, after some renovations had been done, and under the ownership of Father Charles Mersereau. The Historical Society was again also involved and had a use of part of the building at that time. It was going to be used as a guest house. It was hoped that it would become not only a site for visitors to the area, but also a historical attraction and perhaps also an arts center. It also displayed the Mersereau collection, items that Father Charles Mersereau had collected throughout his life. Some of these particularly were a chair that belonged to William Van Horn, who was a key figure in the Canadian Pacific Railway. Another chair that had originally belonged in Dublin Castle, the viceregal residence, I guess the residence of the Viceroy of Ireland. And most notably, I guess, a reproduction of Raphael's painting the Madonna in a chair. So those are some of the major items from the Mersereau collection that were displayed here as well. Father Mersereau spoke in the newspapers or wrote in the newspapers about feeling kind of hemmed in by certain regulations at that time. However, it did not keep him from hosting Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau in 1976, holding an auction here in July of 1978, and receiving some interest from the Aberdeen Corporation in 1979 about the possibility of using solar energy in greenhouses here on the site. So the mansion has had again, many lives, I guess, from kind of being the estate of a lumber baron to being a viceregal residence, to being a guest house and an inn as it is today, and a showpiece for some of the bygone days of Miramichi and Nelson's history. Today, it's an inn museum that is very unique. Here in New Brunswick, it's more akin to something that you might find in Europe. Renovations are now underway to upgrade the inside and the outside and preserve the historic character of this heritage structure. So with that, I think we'll close. I think we'll leave it there. The Governor's Mansion, definitely a stately home here in Nelson, which again is being kind of given a new lease on life as a guest house. So we'll leave the information for the mansion in the description below. If you would like to maybe visit here in the season next summer, beautiful view of Beaubears Island, not far away from the Interpretive Center, or maybe a package deal there if you happen to be in the area. But again, if you're enjoying this content, do please like the video, subscribe to the channel, have a look at those Patreon options, because again, there's a lot of exclusive content that's on there now, and quite a bit more that is on its way in the future. I'll be back next week. We're down to the final 4 episodes of this season, and before I kind of take a bit of a hiatus, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you then, and I've enjoyed our time today. So, with all of that said, I'm Dr. Sean McCarthy for the Days of Yore. Thanks so much. you.